Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the Morning Call. I'm your host, Finn Judell. Look, we've had a bit of an uplift over the US session last night. Seems like there's some bids being caught across the market. Having a look at the heat map, we can see that Nvidia's up nearly 2%. Apple, Google, Microsoft relatively flat. Meta up 2%. Amazon up 4% almost. Tesla up 3.5%. Across the board, fair bit of green, a little bit of flat. Maybe we're not quite out of the weeds yet, but this is a positive sign in the market that the US is catching the bid here, as they tend to. Looking at global indices, had a little bit of a rough one on the ASX yesterday, so we are anticipating a bit more of an optimistic run today on the ASX. Nikkei as well. Down 3.6%. China A50 up nearly 1%. Hang Seng down 2%. Euro stocks up 1.23%. Dow up 0.49%. S&P closing up 0.78%. With a fairly mixed view, but overall positive across the board. Nasdaq, the tech sector, which we've been very fond of, despite being fairly downtrodden over the past couple of months, up 1.29%. And then we can see that the Russell as well is up 1.35%. Moving on to our software survivors strategies and all the baskets that we have struck on for most of these stocks last night and yesterday, and are following to strike on some of these today. So we've got Palo Alto Networks up roughly 1.5%, CrowdStrike up 4%. Pro Medicus is yet to open today, but looking forward to a positive day for Pro Medicus as it kind of follows on from the US momentum. Vive, looking like a fairly nice chart there, got a bit of momentum, traded fairly well, fairly flat over the US session. We've got a nice little surprise there as it reported earnings and after hours was up 10.29%. And so we actually we struck on that particular basket on close. So pretty quick turnaround for that one. Not upset about that at all. It's a fairly great outcome for the medical IT basket. So congratulations to everyone who got exposure to that. The ERP basket, not quite out of the weeds yet. Technology One's looking like it's had a pretty nice bounce. WiseTech, not quite yet, but we are buying the blood here, at least the first time around. We've actually split up this strategy into two different buying opportunities to kind of, lessen our chance of overpaying for the stocks. So our first strike was yesterday, and today, looking forward to potentially a positive day as we kind of increase with that US momentum over the US session. Looking at commodities, we've got fairly flat across gold and silver as they've been pretty volatile. That's a pretty flat day for gold and silver. Copper up 2.13%, platinum up 4.48%, crude up 1%, but 15.15% for the 5-day. That's a massive move, and obviously fueled by these kind of geopolitical tensions across the Strait of Hormuz. And it looks like it's going to be closed for the foreseeable future. Trump seems to be fairly positive, but he tends to say a lot of things. He did say that the Navy ships were going to escort carriers across the Strait of Hormuz, but there seems to be one of them actually got shot down. So that isn't great for confidence, and it looks like most of the shipments will be going across Africa to be diverted and get to where they need to go. Iron ore up 0.41%, down 8.53 over the last 5 days. Lithium, uranium up roughly 1%, give or take. And Bitcoin Up 7.19%. And 11% over the last 5 days. We've had a pretty brutal run with Bitcoin over the last couple of months, and it is fairly expected. I did call the top at around 110k. Seeing as we are going into a 4-year cycle, and once again going into that bear side of the cycle. Look, I don't quite think we're out of the weeds yet. I wouldn't be surprised if we move up from here. The way we're positioning at MPC is if you are interested in getting allocation to this asset class, we do recommend dollar cost averaging. So we did execute our first buy order at around 65k, around that range, and we will be continuing to buy all the way down to 45k, and that's where I anticipate the lows are going to start to set in. But who knows? Just as equally, we could move up from here. There's really no saying with this asset. I do like to allude to the fact that volatility across the board is decreasing in Bitcoin, given that it was at 20 cents at 10 years ago, and then rocketed up to 120k. The 4-year cycles are actually tightening across the board. So the highs are getting lower and the lows are getting higher, to put it quite simply. So that's kind of expected for an asset that was 20 cents 10 years ago, and we should see that volatility decrease over time. AUD and USD relatively flat across the board. If you haven't had a look at this yet, definitely recommend looking into our software survivors kind of heat map, in terms of who we think are actually going to be the successors of this AI narrative over the course of the next 20 years, and who's going to be left behind. I think it's a very real threat for a lot of technology businesses. But for others, it's a massive opportunity. They're clear beneficiaries. So if you're curious, if you have some allocation to the tech sector, there is actually a tool where you can punch in the companies that you might be holding and see where they sit according to our proprietary model, where we actually differentiate whether they're going to be successors or perhaps not. So have a look. There's a QR code that you can scan. I'll also leave the link to the page in the description. We will be doing a webinar on this as well. If your stock isn't mentioned here, then let us know. We can do some analysis and we can have a chat about it at the webinar. Definitely recommend joining. There will be a Q&A at the end of the session, so you can save all your questions for then. But this will be a good opportunity to kind of understand, what our thinking is here, how we've actually come up with this model, and what we anticipate going forward, and what will be the real successes. Obviously, we've picked 6 different companies for our SaaS Survivors Enhanced Growth Structured Product Strategy, which we think will be very good performers going forward in the AI kind of new world. So they're particular ones we're quite bullish on. Definitely have a look at that. That is in the link. So if you want to scan the QR code, I'll also leave the link below. Look, don't forget to like and subscribe. Keep forgetting. We all keep forgetting to say that. Apparently, it helps our channel a lot, and it actually would help our channel a lot if you just chucked a like or a subscribe or leave a comment if you've got any questions. As always, free trial on Mosaic. I'll leave the link for that in the description. You get access to all of our research, all of our stock picks. Everything you need will be available. It is available through Mosaic on desktop, App Store, Google Play, whatever you need. So definitely download Mosaic, sign up for Mosaic, free trial. What more could you want? 30 days, free trial, no strings attached. Anyway, thank you everyone, and have a lovely day. Stay safe out there in the markets, and enjoy the SaaS bull run. Enjoy it. All right, thanks. Bye.